In the majority of scenarios, the end result from using Vectorworks will be a printed paper copy of your design. Here we'll cover the various functions available in print settings for Vectorworks and their specific uses. There are a few differences in the way that the printing interface appears on the Mac and the Windows operating systems. Also, if you have the option for Quartz imaging on Mac or GDI imaging on Windows in Vectorworks Preferences and Display, these menus will display different options. Where these differences occur, they will be mentioned specifically and explained. The first option available will allow you to choose which printer you want to print to. This list is based on your installed printers for the machine you're currently using, either connected locally or on your network. Below that, you'll see options for all pages, or to select specific ones you wish to print. Normally, you would select all. However, if you only wish to print a specific set of the images, you can set which ones you want here. The number of the page is determined by its position as a break on the page area in your document, the top left area being 1, and the last one being at the bottom right. Current View will print everything you can currently see in the drawing area at the moment you selected File Print. This will allow you to skip page setup, but there is no way to control the scale in this manner. On Windows, this option is immediately below the Pages selection. On Mac OS X, it can be found further down the menu as a checkbox. On OS X, you'll have an option to control the DPI or dots per inch setting of the print. 72 DPI is a standard setting, which is the DPI of most computer monitors. Normally for a final presentation file, you would set this to around 300 DPI. Setting it any higher, such as 1200 DPI, can lead to waiting much longer than necessary and potential out-of-memory errors on the printer. 150 DPI is normally just fine. On a Windows machine, this is either not modifiable or it is set specifically in the File, Page Setup, Printer Setup dialog box. Below this, you'll see gray level for grade, layers, and classes as a percentage. 100% will not gray the layers or classes at all. 0% will show no lines for these layers and classes whatsoever. A normal setting would be around 70%, but you can control this as you see fit based on how close to a solid black or white you wish the grayed objects to be. The following option for Print Postscript Only will appear in gray on Mac and not at all on Windows unless you have a Postscript printer installed and properly configured. If enabled, this option will only send Postscript commands to that printer, which will increase the speed of printing on these devices. This option will not affect non-Postscript printers. Next, you will see Enable Special Processing for Transparent Color Bitmaps. This will only appear when Quartz imaging is disabled on a Mac. Some printers cannot support transparent color for raster images, which can affect bitmaps and picture objects that have their fill style set to none. Select this option to use a more detailed but slower imaging process to print transparency properly. Print patterns and on-screen resolution will cause any patterns on your document to appear as they do on the screen, regardless of their actual size. This is used if your hatches or patterns appear fine on screen, but come out on the print solid white, solid black, or distorted in another manner. Rasterized print output causes Vectorworks to create a raster version of your document. Essentially, this has Vectorworks create a pre-processed image of the file that it then sends that to the printer instead. Normally this will not affect quality in any way. It will simply allow you to print more complex files on older printers or printers that are unable to handle a complex file directly from Vectorworks. The options for print patterns and on-screen resolution are located here on Macs, and rasterized print output must be enabled in order to use this feature. Immediately below this option, you're able to set which side of the image will come out of the printer first. This will vary by printer, but the default setting is top, which will cause the top of the drawing as you see it on screen to leave the printer first. Update visible out-of-date viewports will cause Vectorworks to automatically update the renderings of any viewports that require it. If you only have a few viewports that are out of date, this will normally work fine. But if you have many viewports that require updating, this can cause the print to take an extraordinarily long time, as you'll have to wait for all of the renders to complete, one after another, before the print will begin. Unchecking this prints the viewports as they currently appear on screen. The final option, Reset All Plugin Objects that require a reset prior to printing, will reset objects such as data stamps so that their dates are updated to the moment of printing rather than reflecting the date and time they were last modified. This wide array of printing tweaks and settings will give you complete control of your prints, now that you know how to use them to your advantage.